Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa and I'm joined by the magnificent
Josh, me, hello, hi.
Hello there, Josh. And I'm afraid this is a kind of a bit of a support group because we're basically two old British men who are now about to rant about Overwatch competitive. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
oh,
it's therapy, group therapy. Misery loves company.
Oh my! Right, so I have just come off a session, and the very first game I played in, it was on Blizzard World, and I'm looking right now at the recording. This was my team comp, yeah? It was Doomfist, it was Soldier, Widow, right?
So far, so good.
May, and then Roadhog.
Nice.
And I'm like, right, now, my idea was, like, I want to go in and play DPS, right? This is my Tracer kind of DPS account. So off I go, I select Tracer. This is 3.9k as well. So it's not like, you know, a low tier. So anybody out there who thinks that these problems with Overwatch team comp is just something that happens in the lower tiers, it's not. It's everywhere from what I can tell. Like, absolutely everywhere. Anyway, that game was a total bust. Complete bust, right? As you would imagine, right? We've got no tank. We've got no healer. Like, what are we going to do? We're just going to die. And we did. We died. Next game was on Horizon. Completely beautiful team comp. The game was awesome. And there is this issue of brilliant game, horrifically bad game, and then I don't want to play the game no more.
Yeah, like, I had this last night as well, because I was doing placements on my Talon account. The thing with the Talon account is I try and play Talon heroes. Now, that's actually quite robust these days, because you have Moira, so I can always fall back on the support, and it's like, it's super easy to become a Moira player. But that's also one of my frustrations with that account now, is I constantly feel like I'm being pushed into Moira. And it even happened last night I picked Reaper to play on a control map. I can play Reaper on control maps extremely well. Like, this is a 3.6, 3.7k account, and I can dominate it with Reaper on it pretty easily. And what's quite funny was I had built up a lot of Moira playtime. So the first thing I do is I lock in Reaper, I'm ready to go, and then someone goes, would you mind playing Moira? And it's like, this has happened because it's like pushing me towards it, because I constantly feel like, oh, I have to play support because I'm streaming as well. So I feel like I have to be the good guy. I have to be the guy who is, you know, going to do the right thing and swap for the benefit of the team comp. And it just means I end up playing stuff that I don't want to play, and that's so frustrating. And I even sent out a tweet last night, and it's been really well
Josh,
received.
I've got to interrupt you there, because that point is brilliant, because I get that. If I play on Stylosa, it's like, oh, Sty's on the team, he'll just fill. And I'm like, yeah, I'll fill, but maybe I want to play Tracer in this game. Like, you know, when you want to, like, everybody is the same. They sit down and they think, right, I'm going to play this hero. I go into the game, and then it's just like, oh, well, actually, I can't play this hero because everybody's just picked whatever. So because I actually want to win, because, you know, it's competitive, I think I'll play, I don't know, Orisa, because we need an Orisa. But that's not what I wanted to play, and that takes the enjoyment out of it. Anyway, tell me about these tweets, Josh. Tell me about them. Give them me. Give them me, Josh.
Like,
give them me, Josh.
Geez, this is telling it's something else different entirely. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not X. Right, anyway. Okay. So these tweets, and like, this really does piggyback on what you were saying, because if you think about what's the first thing you do in Overwatch, you pick a team comp. That's the first thing that you load into. And it is the single most frustrating, most anxiety-inducing, most annoying part of the game, because you have no idea what you're going to get. You load in, and then someone instantly picks Hanzo, and you go, shit. And then someone instantly picks Mei, and you go, well, I can't DPS anymore, and our DPS is going to be garbage. So now I have to try and tank, or I have to try and heal for this team, and it's like, okay, what do I do? And then someone picks Doomfist. And I literally had a game where I picked Tracer first, because I have a decent PC, and I loaded in very quickly. And then someone picked Mei, and I thought, okay, well, it's Eichenwald. Sure, first point Eichenwald, it's Mei, whatever. And then someone picked Doomfist. And then people picked, like, and then the rest of the team picked 2 tanks and 1 support. And then someone comes in voice chat and goes, guys, can we have another support? And I'm thinking, okay, well, I can either go support, and we have Mei Doomfist as our DPS.
Massive DPS combo. Whoa.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to sit on Tracer then. But then the thing is, later in the game, I get frustrated later in the game, and I'm just like, oh god, like, can the Mei just please swap? It's like second point Eichenwald, Mei, please just change. And it's like, well, why don't you change? You're playing DPS as well. And it's like, why? And the fact that I feel like I have to be the one, and it's so frustrating as a streamer, especially as someone who does stream, to go into games and go, you know what, today I want to play my Widowmaker. And you play it, and it goes well, but it's like, there's 3 DPS on the team, and you're just like, man, I have to change because I don't want to look like the arsehole in people's games. I don't want to look like the guy who's ruining games for people. So I change, and I
hate to say it, this is poor design because this is just crap. Yeah. Like, the devs have got to do something about this. The last game I've just come off before joining you in this call, Josh, was Route 66. I was playing, I wanted to play Tracer, but I had to play Moira. Only healer Moira, right? The tanks, well, nobody would play a barrier tank. So we capped the first point. What do you think the other team did? Oh, they just picked Widow. And it was like, all right then, boys, what are we going to do now? So I'm in the chat, and I'm like, guys, can we get a barrier tank, right? We've got a D.Va, and we've got a Roadhog. Everybody else is playing DPS. Then you've just got me on the Moira. We just got farmed by the Widow, and I'm sitting there frustrated out of my mind for like the 3 or 4 minutes or whatever it was after we capped the first point going, guys, can we get a barrier tank, please? Because we're just getting farmed by Widow. And nobody responds. It's like, screw you. I'm doing what I like. And I'm standing there
Europe
thinking,
as well.
I am literally wasting my time. Well, it happens in NA as well. I'm literally wasting my time here because I can't play a tank because then we've got no healer. But like, what do? Do I just go, oh, screw it, I'll play Winston and just jump on it? What? But then there's no healer. It is really frustrating. Like, out of this, I played 8 games today, right? First game, these are the titles of the videos, right? First game says absolute throw, what a waste of time. Second game says dominated on Tracer, but players picked crap team comp. Hang on, I've got to rename this. The title is so long. But picked crap team comp. Yeah, toxic in spawn, typical Overwatch. That's what that file is called. But what happened on Horizon there is everybody in the spawn room just picked their hero they wanted to play, right? So it was just like a full DPS comp. It's like, oh god. And then you sit there, don't you? And you've got this awkward wait. It's like, who's going to break first? Yeah. And then you just know, when you're looking at the screen, it's like, I don't know, maybe Genji swaps to a tank. You know that guy is broke now because he's like, oh, all right, then I'll play a tank. Don't really want to because I want to play Genji, right? Fair enough, fair play. You know, maybe I should have swapped, but there becomes a point where you just can't do this in every game because if you're constantly flexing to meet the needs of the team, you're never actually playing the game for yourself. And guess what? Games are for fun to enjoy. So if you can't play what you want to play, it just drives you to madness. Anyway, I digress. I didn't name the next 2 files. They're just called Overwatch. Actually, I didn't name all the rest of them. They're just called Overwatch because I probably lost the will to name them. But out of those 8 games or so, I only won 3, lost the rest. And not because I played bad. And a lot of people say this. It's not because I played bad. It absolutely isn't because I played bad. It is because there was no team comp, and we're going against people who have a team comp, and you're just going to lose. You just can't do anything to that. You just die.
It feels like the lottery effect, right? You just completely play the lottery.
You know what I feel like, Josh? I feel like I want to just quit the game. Like, I just want to... Like, on that Route 66 example, I am standing there knowing that this Widow is just farming us. Because if it's at 3.9k, the Widow's going to have decent aim. It's just popping people as they're coming through. I'm like, guys, are we going to do something about it? They're like, no. And I'm thinking, all right then. So I get to sit here now for the next 4 minutes with, we'll just watch people die. How am I supposed to, like...
and
like, you're stuck, you know what I mean? Yeah, and then I come off, and then I say, Josh, I'm raging about comp to you in Discord, and that's it. Like, and then I've quit the game now. It's gone. Ugh.
Yeah, it builds up in frustrations. Like, I will try and send you this clip because I was streaming last night. I was playing this game and I got because I was on the Widow and I was on about 50 hit points. And by that point, the team comp had fallen apart. We had someone swap from like a healer to Hanzo. We had a Torbjorn running around, all that kind of stuff. And I'll send you this clip of me being on 50 hit points, running to a health pack, and this Torbjorn, who's on like 210 hit points, he's got an armor pack, runs in front of me, snipes the health pack that I desperately need, and it just like runs back to the point. I die 2 seconds later. It's like, there's so many things that just really aggravate people step by step by step, and like, it's from the word go, and that's what gets me, is it's from the moment you load into the game. There is going to be something that's going to annoy the hell out of you. And I totally get now why people, well, I always kind of understood it, but it's becoming more and more like I'm sympathetic to them, almost, of people who just turn off all voice comms and all communication and just like isolate themselves completely, load into a game, pick their hero, and that's all they're going to do because they just don't want to deal with the heartache, they just don't want to deal with the arguments, and they just isolate themselves. And that's bad for the game. It's bad. This shouldn't be happening. And it's like, just a sort of, the comments is going to be, well, how do you fix this? What do you do? Offer some solutions.
Well, we'll get onto that. But yeah, I mean, like, but if the game is forcing you to do that in the first place, then That's poor design, and you just don't want to play the bloody game. It's like, it is the great gamble right now. You click that play button and you're hoping to yourself that it gives you a team comp which consists of 2 tanks and 2 supports, or at minimum 2 supports, right? If you've got that, I mean, you still need a tank, right? But at least you've got 2 supports, so you're going to get heals. It's like, okay, if you get that, that's cool. But you just don't know what you're going to get. And it's often, like you said, when you get the crazy hands. I mean, look at that picture I've just sent you there in Discord, right?
Yeah.
You can see that team comp. That is horrific. The Mei was just an instant lock. I mean, that Mei account is just, I just play Mei. It's like, well, that's fine. You can just play Mei. But then when you get Doomfist and Widow and Soldier, it's like, what? Like, what do you even do with comps that are just... It needs to be fixed. Like, it really needs to be fixed. And you know what? I've been playing Fortnite a little bit recently, and I've got to be honest, right? I mean, it's a totally different game. It's nowhere near the level of Overwatch in terms of, like... Probably people are going to slam me for this, but, like, in terms of skill required and all of that stuff. But when you play that game, every single time you play it, you have a good time.
Yeah.
Until you die. And then you're like, oh, and then you just load into another game. Overwatch, you go into the game, you're praying to God that your team is actually capable of forming a team. If they're not, right, then you're like, well, we're just going to have to play some crazy comp. Now, you can play a crazy comp sometimes and win, but it's not great. You're probably forced off the hero you wanted to play because you're a nice guy or you're an actual human being. But like you said, Josh, a little bit earlier on, I think what happens is, like, you're starting to understand the people who just mute all the voice comms, right? I think in time, that's just becoming everybody.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be a team game, which has got one of the biggest esports right now, which promotes team play, where you watch these guys play and think, wow, that's great. I'm gonna go on the ladder. I'm gonna risk it for a biscuit, and then I go, and it's like, oh, well. You end up with Mei, Roadhog, Widow, Soldier, Doomfist.
So many Mei mains at the moment. So many Mei players. My God. It feels like I get one every game now. It's, I don't know what happened. Like, she got a slight buff, a very marginal buff, and now she's friggin' everywhere, and it's driving me nuts. But
the big issue here is, right, people, like, if we're talking about Mei mains, people will be like, well, Sty and Josh, you can't just hate them because they're a Mei main.
No,
all right, fair enough, right? That's not their fault. Like, the game allows you to do whatever the hell you want to do. You just do whatever you like, right? Which is a major problem when you need to form a coherent team. And this is just an issue throughout the ladder, and I just don't understand why nothing has been done about this. I know role select, they hate the idea of role select and whatever, but there needs to be a system in this game where you can tell it what hero you would prefer to play.
Yeah.
And then it says to you, well, actually, all right then, we'll at least try and get you a support and a tank in your game. Okay, the support and tank player might be like, screw it, I want a DPS this game for whatever reason. But at least you're getting over that first hurdle, this wall of you just got to smash your head up against it.
On the back of
that. Let me just say this, Josh, right? I honestly think right now, your progression on the ladder, unless you're like an extremely good player, unless you're in a division, like you're in a tier which you're basically 2 tiers better than. So if you're like in plat, but you're like a GM player or something, well, you're 3 levels above that, so you should be able to wreck people in plat. But actually in your tier, for you to progress as a player, it is so difficult because you are just like rolling the dice. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get. Like, yeah, you can carry to some degree on some heroes, but if you're a tank main, you're going to find that much more difficult. If your team isn't like cooperative or doesn't want to work together, well, what you're going to do is a Winston main or a Reinhardt main.
Yeah.
You know, even the supports. All right, in some cases, Zen can hard carry. Anna can hard carry. I mean, I guess Moira can as well in some cases, but it's not like a Tracer popping off, right? I know when I get Tracer and I play her, I can just wreck the other team and it's like, oh, this is awesome, right? We win. But only if the team comp I've got is good. Not if it's Mei, Roadhog, Widow, whatever. That ain't going to work. If I've got a dive tank with me, if we've got Zen putting his orb on me, I'm supported and I can go about and play it, and then I feel empowered, and then I sit back in my chair, and that's when I name files like this where it says second game dominated on Tracer, but then it says players obviously picked a bad team, typical Overwatch, blah 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 blah, but then they sorted it out in the spawn. If they hadn't have sorted that out in the spawn, that game would have been a loss.
Yeah.
And that really kills me. It's really
I want to harp on this because if you look at the design of the game as well, it is so team-oriented, because I know that someone's going to go, well, in Dota they don't have role select, in Dota they don't have this, it's like it's a League of Legends thing, they don't have it in Dota. The difference between like a game like Dota and a game like Overwatch is that Overwatch is designed where you cannot carry. Like, you cannot just sort of snowball out of control and completely take over a game unless you really are far ahead of your opponents in terms of your ability, like you said, like
which you shouldn't be.
And the matchmaking is pretty good in Overwatch. Like it is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So you do get matched against people pretty much on your level. So it's just the team comps that end up determining so much about how the game goes. And you got 12 people in there, and it just takes one just to go, well, I'm never going to play support, so all I'm going to do is lock in Sombra and just play Sombra. And then it's like you have DPS who aren't willing to swap because they don't want to play around a Sombra, and then you have just no supports on that team, and so one team ends up winning, one team ends up losing because one player decided no. And it's like, it's 1 in 12. That's a big number. 1 in 12 just to destroy a game. And sure, when you're on the opposite team, it feels great because you probably crushed them. But it's like, it's not a satisfying match at the end of the day. And if every single game comes down to this and just ends with people in the chat going, oh, report so-and-so, please, because he wouldn't swap, he's a bad teammate, and then nothing happens to these players, you don't have any way to get rid of them from the ladder who just don't want to play a competitive game of Overwatch in competitive ladder, that's a problem.
So that's another thing, right? I'm not going to name players here, but in the games that I've played just today, there is a player, I mean, he was the Doomfist player in the screenshot I sent you, but I've cut the names off even for you. But that guy, he is, he's like a serial thrower, but you know, like, after that game finished, I knew he was in my game. I'm like, all right, this guy's a thrower. I've seen him before. So what I'm going to do is go into the practice range. And again, this shouldn't be happening, right? I shouldn't have to be like, oh, I've got this bad guy on my team, so to avoid him, I'm going to spend 5 minutes shooting bots. I mean, what kind of mentality is that anyway? I'll go in and I do it. I'm like, go into the next game. I don't see him. But then he was in the game after that, which is a bit unfortunate. Again, playing extremely questionable. Well, he was playing really bad. It struck me as somebody who was just sort of doing whatever the hell he likes. Yeah. Probably because he's playing at that level, he has a hero he can play to get himself back up to that level. And I firmly believe the game is good for this. Like, it will get you to the level you should be at. But the problem is, when you want to progress, when you want to get better, and you start looking at ways to like advance yourself in terms of like, I mean, look, listen. It's the worst feeling for me ever when I'm playing tanks and nobody cares and everybody just wants to play DPS. And nobody will listen to even basic calls or basic shouts. And you're like, what am I even doing here? Like, I feel like I'm just doing nothing. And everybody else is having a good time. And that is like, that's not a great feeling. And, you know, like, I've got the series on the channel where I've been playing in solo queue. And I've put 2 of the videos out for that. And there's a couple more which I'm going to use. But I'll be totally honest, guys. I've played, I think I've recorded 11 games. And I think only 4 of them are usable. The other ones are just not even worth it because they're just... they've either got levers, which are not great, or it'll just be like a completely incoherent game where it's just a mess. You know what I mean? Like, there's no fun to be shown there. You know, I'm just sort of sitting there like, wow, this is great. And I'm going, guys, do you think we could get a support? While I'm sitting there on Winston and we've just got no support. So I'm like, guys, please. And then my very first game after placing on Stylosa's account was just was literally one of the worst games I've played in Overwatch. It had levers on my team, but, you know, let's only leave after we've failed attacking the first point a few times. You know what I mean? It's not like, let's just leave the game straight away. It's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. But before the guy left, he was playing Reaper as well. This guy was being extremely toxic. But it wasn't just him. Everybody else was being toxic to him. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is just abysmal. Like, why am I doing this? Like, this goes back to my like, I said this in a video recently, but at the end of the video, I was like, I am watching Overwatch League more than playing the game now. Like, that is 100% fact. But I want to play the game. And I sit down and I'm like, I'm going to play this game. And then I'm just like, oh, I might get a good game. But that's not great. You know, who sits down and thinks I'm gonna play a game, but it might be bad. I don't know. Yeah, well, like you said about LoL. Like, in LoL, you can role select. So I'm terrible at LoL, but I installed it. Well, this was like last year. One of my uncles plays it, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to play LoL. I remember playing Lux in mid lane and Ziggs. I'm like, I'm just going to play Lux in mid lane, and I got it every single game. I was bad, and I was throwing the game because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. In fact, last time I played LoL, it had a different graphics engine to what it's got now, so that's how long ago I played it. But I could play the role I wanted to play. In Overwatch, I'm just like...
Yeah, like, and there's, like, just to, like, go to solutions, you know, role queue is, like, the most obvious one. You've heard about it on your channel before. Everyone knows role queue, they're familiar with role queue. The one thing I will say is I like the idea that you mentioned before, which is just you have a preferred hero that you want to play. And like, because I know that the system, I believe this actually happens with the system that they have, is they track what heroes you play, and then they'll try and figure out a pseudo team comp off that. So if you have like a ton of Mercy, then they're not going to try and put someone else who has a ton of Mercy on your team, unless it's like 3 billion Mercy mains, which they used to be. So that's when you get like 5 Mercy mains on a team. But if you could just say, yeah, I prefer to play this, because like I said before, like my Talon account has mostly Moira played on it, because I just end up filling constantly, and just that inevitably leads to support, so I just lock in Moira. And so I don't want the game to go, oh, well, he's a support player, so we're going to put him with some DPS and tanks, and that's all you get to do from now on. If you could just, before the game, go, yeah, I want to play this hero, and then it puts you with, like, oh, if you pick a specialist DPS, quote-unquote, like a Mei or a Widow or something like that, you need a main DPS to sort of play around with, then it's going to try and pair you off with that and that kind of stuff. And getting that system working would be great.
I think it would. You know what I'd like to see? I think the entire hero selection phase at the start of the game needs to be completely changed. Like when it starts off and you're just like looking at your character, you can't actually run around the spawn room like a goddamn idiot. And then after you've selected your hero, I think it's like a 30-second countdown, isn't it? Then you just go to the spawn and you're waiting there for a minute for the game to start. People are just jumping around the spawn, literally doing nothing. And the idea of that time is supposed to be like a tactics time, Let's form a team, guys. Let's see what we're going to do. And that's what the devs want you to do. The problem is they let you just pick your hero and then jump around like a goddamn idiot. I think what needs to happen is they totally redesign that system. So when you go into it, you could select like a preferred hero. So let's say if I was going into queue right now and I'm going to click Tracer, preferred hero. So when I go into the queue, it doesn't say, Sty's a Tracer player, let's put him with tanks or whatever. It just puts me in a game like it does now. However, underneath my name, it's saying like Tracer preferred or something like that. This is not a major change in my eyes. The other team members could look at that and think, all right, well, he wants to play Tracer. Now, of course, you would still get trolls who just select Tracer because screw you, because you might come across somebody else who wants to play Tracer. But at least in that way, it's sort of showing the intent. But beyond that, instead of throwing you into the spawn so you can run around, why does it not leave you like on a set selection screen or something for a little bit longer where there's like a tactics discussion or like the God map, right? Imagine if you could draw on the God map or something like like a stupid whiteboard comes up and you could be like, let's go this way, guys, go to the left, go to the right. I mean, all of this is like mental ideas I've been having recently, but it's just something to make the team a little bit more coherent in the spawn instead of just hitting play and going, I want to play Tracer, so I'm just going to because I've got an NVMe SSD, so it loads dead quick. So I always get in first, so I can just click Tracer and I'm like, right, I'm going to play Tracer, and then I just see a load more DPS and I'm like, well, this is not great. What do I need to do now? Well, all right, I'll swap to something else. But there is no discussion with the team. It's not like people are going, guys, we've got DPS, we've got too much DPS. And often when they do say that, it's normally it's quite toxic because they're pissed off. Because in previous games they've probably had to deal with this again. So I don't know. Like I just would like a system that's a little bit more structured. This is, of course, if they're totally against putting a role select in the game. And I honestly think as the months keep going by, as the competitive seasons keep going by, if they don't do something to fix this problem of team comps, then I don't know where this game's going to be.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the only other thing they can do, and like this is what I really hope they do, is incentivize group play. Like they have to incentivize group play. You have to get ways of just getting 6 people together, because honestly, I think this is how most of the devs play. I wouldn't be surprised if you talk to the devs and go, how do you play most of your Overwatch? It's like, oh, well, 6 of us get together after work, and that's how we play competitive Overwatch. Like, it's mental to me, or the idea at the moment of just picking up a 6-stack and playing it, because you end up with like atrocious matchmaking. You don't get 6-stacks against you quite often, especially at like the higher levels. At lower levels it's okay and you could probably do it, but at higher levels, because there's so few 6-stacks playing, because it is so punitive in terms of how high it matches you against enemies, there's just no incentive to do it, and it's so difficult to do. It's so difficult to do in the game. There's no guild system, clan system, anything like that. Just incentivizing group play will make it so much easier. So you get to play with your friends more, and it's easier to see, oh, well, he's playing. I can just like tag up with him super easily and get going, and we have a clan chat that we can meet up in and stuff like that, and it tells you when your clanmates are playing, and you can just see them all on the main menu or whatever when you hit play, and you just go, oh yeah, hey guys, let me join you guys, and then you join in the next game.
But it's okay, Josh, because we've got a Looking for Friends forum now.
Oh, yeah.
So we can go there and be like, hey, I'm a friend. You see what made me laugh about that is I've got a Discord server with like 40,000 members in, and we've got so many different channels for people to group up and play together. Do you know how many actually do it? It's not a lot. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's so low because people do not... Like, you can't just throw somebody into a room with loads of other people and say, find somebody of like a similar skill level and who wants to play heroes that complement you and can play with you as well. It's so difficult to do that. So people are just like, they don't use it. I mean, solo queue is kind of fine in a way, right? Because at least you're going to get into a game, but you're just not going to get any kind of coherent team built around you, which is the worst goddamn feeling ever. Guild systems, like full 6-stack competitive, these are things like in my head, save this game. That if they just turned up and went, right guys, here's the watch point system, build your own guild, see everybody's rank, see everybody's preferred heroes, build a 6-stack, then go into watch point competitive. You know, screw solo queue, we're just going to go in as teams. Loads of people, I'm fairly sure, would do that because it's facilitated by the game. Like, it is so key in my head that this system has to be in the game if people are going to use it. You can't have some external system. Nobody will use that. You need to allow people to group together, to form a team and play together. I always say this, that the best time I've ever had playing this game is when I've been in 6 stacks. Yeah. Whether that was ESL Go tournaments, even the thing we did with Yogscats. Remember that at Christmas? Yeah. That was fun. But, you know, it was annoying as hell to play because I'm playing on some terrible Yogscats computer. But it was fun because you go into the game and everybody's like, right, okay, we've got a plan. We're syncing up ultimate usage. We're building a team. It's so cool to do it. The solo queue videos I put on my channel, the first one, I think it was the first one or maybe the second one if you guys have watched it. One of them is really, no, I don't think I've used it actually, but one of them is great. Like everybody on the voice are just like, they're all doing their job and they're all playing the hero they want to play, and it is so phenomenal. It's like, this game is awesome. And then of course the next game is just a total bust, and then you think, well, what the hell am I doing? It's just this wave of euphoria you get from an awesome game, and then you're just like, no, get in the dirt. Next game is just going to be a throw. So it's like, well, all this SR I've just gained through playing out of my mind, it's just been thrown away because we've just got a Mayor, Hanzo, and a Doomfist on the team this time.
Yep. GG.
It makes me so sad.
And that's the frustration, right? It's out of your control, and that's where it drives you crazy.
I'm highly frustrated. Yeah. My God. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know if you've got any crazy ideas that could fix this. You know, as I like to say, go wild in the comments below. I think I just don't know. Like, I just don't know what the future holds for this, for competitive. I mean, like, the other modes in Overwatch are fun to play, but I've always liked competitive. I'm not ashamed to admit this, but competitive is what I wanted to play. Like, I want to put myself against other people and see how they play, see if I can rank up or whatever. You know, I like to progress. I like to try and get better, but it just feels way too random. I mean, the crazy thing is, after we finish this, I'm going to go and play Overwatch a bit more and see what happens. Probably more defeats. Hopefully,
brave man.
We get a good team, we win. I am a brave man, yeah. Any final words, Josh?
Not really. Just let me know, what you guys think in the comments. If you've got any ideas to fix this, if you have any frustrating stories as well, love to read them.
Support group, activate. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.